Welcome in, Falcons fans. It's your boy Bryce Lewis, and we're going to dive into the Atlanta Falcons' first day of the tampering period in the league year before the actual official league year starts Wednesday, as the Falcons were very active today in the first day. And we got to start with the biggest signing right out the gates. Jessie Bates, former Cincinnati Bengals safety, has signed to the Falcons. This was the prize of this free agent class. This is someone that has been connected to the Falcons for months. People have been wanting Bates here for even during the season. We remember the video of him out with AJ and Casey Hayward earlier this season. People were using that as a connection to the Falcons with them. And obviously the Falcons now have gotten their guy. They have signed him and they have made him the fourth highest paid safety, not in the league, but in the history of the league when it comes to safeties. So big for him to be signed. 4 years, $64 million, $23 million in the first year. So they're front loading the contract for Jessie Bates, and that will help improve the secondary, which is slowly trying to become a no-fly zone. AJ Terrell, Jessie Bates, and Richie Grant. All three guys, super talented guys. Now we got to see who that other corner is going to be. Could be Casey Hayward. There's a strong possibility Casey Hayward will be back next year, because remember, he also has a connection to Jessie Bates as well. But the Falcons are still looking to add some cornerback depth. There's a couple of names to look out for. Byron Murphy, potentially Trey Herndon also is another name, and some other guys that potentially could be in the mix for the Falcons in the secondary. They're not done upgrading and adding depth to the secondary yet, but a big signing to get Jessie Bates. Like I said, he's going to do a big thing. He had 4 interceptions this past year. I think he had 15 over the last 5 seasons. 14 actually over the last 5 seasons. So he's been pretty big for the guys, and it's just great to see the Falcons have a target, be aggressive, and acquire the target. And that's something I feel like Falcon fans maybe have felt like the Falcons haven't done in a minute, especially because of the cap room issues. They've been having to be conservative with who they go after because they don't have the money to toss. But now they have money to toss out there, and they were able to get the biggest fish in the secondary in Jessie Bates. Another signing they had earlier today from the Saints, David, I may be saying your name wrong, David Armagnac. I probably am saying it super wrong, and I apologize ahead of time, but listen, they got him from the Saints, obviously played under Nielsen in New Orleans, so he knows they're both very familiar with each other, and he had a good year, 5 sacks this past year for the Saints. Like I said, he's been pretty elite for them in terms of what they ask him to do. They list him as a defensive end, but I think he'll play more inside probably. A guy who, to me, I feel like, violent, good hands, burst off the ball. That's what you kind of need. You need somebody like that next to Grady Jarrett. And I think that's what his primary position is going to be in this front four, is that he's going to probably be next to Grady a lot, but also can play outside if needed. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing there for everything else and stuff. So I think that's a good signing. I know a lot of people may not feel like it's a splash signing, but it's okay. It's okay. And, sometimes these are the signings that are just building blocks. Get some defensive line depth, add to the defensive rotation. Falcons, like I said, aren't done. Like I said, it's just day 1 of the tampering period. Free agency starts officially in terms of a league year starting Wednesday. So there's still moves to be made. Even after this video, there may be another move they make later today. So we'll have to see. But this is a good start just to help on the line of scrimmage. And Arthur Smith said it. The line of scrimmage is important, and they're trying to build it. They want to get guys up front, and this is a good start for them. And then on the offensive side of the ball, re-signing their biggest free agent available, Chris Lindstrom, to a over $100 million contract. 6 years, because the new contract does not kick in this current year. It kicks in the year after this coming year. So that's when it kicks in, and he'll be the Falcons guard for the next 6 years. He, for so many people, look at him as sometimes the best right guard or top 3 right guard in the entire NFL. Really deserved it. Obviously, you don't really see guards getting paid that kind of money. So, but obviously, this is the one guy that people feel like if you're going to pay any of the offensive linemen that kind of money that the Falcons have, it should be him, and he did that tonight. And so, great for him to get paid. Great for the Falcons to lock him up, have that right guard position settled, and we're going to have to see what happens at the right tackle position with Caleb McGarry, seeming like it's more and more unlikely that he'll come back to Atlanta. So maybe in the draft, maybe could be somebody that they could be targeting maybe at number 8 if they wanted to go in that route to get a cheaper alternative, or maybe there's another right tackle potentially that they'll still bring in for less money that they feel like can either start or compete for that starting job coming up. Some other guys they went into, Jonnu Smith. They traded for him earlier today from the Patriots for a 7th round pick. Jonnu didn't really, have a great year in New England last year. Really was at his best under Arthur Smith in Tennessee. So it's going to be big to get him back. He's familiar with Smith. He's familiar with the offense. And I think this may be able to free up Kyle Pitts a little bit more because of the fact that Kyle Pitts, I feel like they've tried to make Kyle Pitts an all-around tight end, blocking, receiving, et cetera, et cetera. Now with him in the lineup, Smith can kind of be a blocking tight end, but he's also a sneaky good, dangerous receiving tight end. As you can see in the highlights I have right now for you. He's going to be a guy who I think Ritter, to me, if he's going to truly be QB1, which it looks like that's how they're building this roster, is he's going to go after his tight ends. He's going to use his tight ends. Sometimes tight ends are a rookie quarterback, or he's not a rookie anymore, a young quarterback's best friend. And I think that may be something that he may use between Pitts and Smith. So a big pickup there just to give him for a 7th round pick. No, this is some solid blocker as well. I think that's going to be big for the Falcons as well. They also re-signed Bradley Pinion, punter from last year. Had a pretty good year as a punter. I mean, that's obviously not a sexy move at all. But I mean, sometimes those are the small moves you just need to make sure you have guys who, special teams, that's important. You want to make sure your punter can get other teams in backfield position. And I feel like Bradley did a really good job of that last year. And then Keith Smith, he's been around for a minute for the team. He's been a solid fullback. Falcons are one of the few teams that use fullbacks. So he's been around. He's been solid when he's played, blocking, receiving, when he does get a chance to run the football. And he's been a big part of this rushing attack that Arthur Smith wants to implement here in Atlanta. A very physical, hard-nosed attack, trying to continue that physical play and have a guy who will go up the middle with the running back and try to open lanes for him. So, like I said, a lot of things happened with the Falcons today. Very busy free agent. Tampering period, day 1 for the Atlanta Falcons today. So there's still a lot more they can do. There's still a lot more that will be happening. Like I said, there's going to be other names out there. I brought up a couple of guys earlier. Falcons still need a wide receiver too. I've mentioned OBJ potentially as a potential target. I wouldn't make that move at the price he wants, but if we could get him for cheaper, it's something I think you could definitely consider. Miko Hardman is another guy who also some people would like to go see the Falcons get after. And then we'll also have to see about the running back position with Caleb Huntley on the IR, probably, or the PUP list, probably to start the season because of the Achilles. Maybe the Falcons go out and get a running back to replace him, or they'll wait till the draft to. Because one thing we always have to keep in mind as a fan and as anybody watching this team, don't think because what moves they didn't make in free agency doesn't mean they won't address it later. It doesn't mean they won't address it in the draft. Just know it's a long process. You don't have to make things happen day 1. There's a long process. Players are still going to be cut. Some players will become available for trade. So there's going to be possibilities to bring in certain guys that they want to build this team out with and really just make this team in their vision, in their image. So that's really big for the team. But I'm like I said, pretty happy so far with what the Falcons are doing so far. It'll be interesting to see what else they do. We'll keep an eye on that. If you want to keep up with my instant reaction to some things, follow me on Twitter at Bricey_2K. If you want to catch up with me there, all my Falcons and Hawks takes on my Twitter account, just to keep up with everything happening, because it's a very busy week in both lands. Obviously, Hawks push for the playoffs, and Falcons trying to build out their team with all the free agent money they have still currently on the books. So that's all I got for you guys. This is day 1 of the Atlanta Falcons tampering period recap. It's your boy Bryce Lewis. See you next time.